Hello, welcome to Cataclysm PSA number 1, where we're going to talk about recent changes to turrets in the game. So this last weekend, Saturday, build number 9503 was released, and it included some fairly significant changes to turrets that I'd like to make sure everybody knows about as quickly as possible. So the main changes to turrets are that they no longer emit any kind of light. In the past, they had kind of like a flashlight effect where they lit up an area around them, about 15 spaces, like a flashlight. And they would be able to shoot within 12 spaces, generally, anything in that lighted area. Now that's no longer the case. They no longer emit any kind of light, so you will no longer know that there's a turret in the area just by looking for any light source. Secondly, they have been granted night vision. The PR states they have a 3 night vision, but in my testing that I'll demonstrate here in a moment, they're actually shooting me at 4 range, so that might need to have a look at. And then finally, the ranges have changed, and I'll show you each one and the range from what it used to be to what it is now here in just a moment. So there's also a separate problem in combination with this one that has to do with turret placement in labs, and the combination of the turret adjustments and their placement problems that I see that's making lab escapes and things like that super frustrating right now. So just be aware if you're running a very recent build, anything from 9503 to current, that if you're starting in a lab or you're heading into a lab fairly early game, you might be in for a rude surprise if you're not already aware of these changes. So in this example, I have a debug character set up. The debug indicates that I've got a particular ability on him. He's been given the invincibility debug option. That makes it so I can approach turrets, get shot, and not die for the demonstration. I've also given him night vision, so we'll be able to see turrets out farther than they can see me for demonstration again. That's pretty much it. So I have on the minimap 4 different spaces. I've got a standard turret to the north, I've got a mil-spec turret to the east, I've got a laser turret to the south, and we've got an anti-material turret to the west. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to demonstrate the lack of light. So we're going to go ahead and go to the map. We're going to turn off, or change the time that is, to 22. And then we're going to approach the turret to the north. There is the turret, so I've got safe mode turned on now. We are standing at range 11, and you'll notice he is not yet firing at us. So if we go ahead and keep advancing, we're now at 6, there's 5, and if I move one more space, I get shot. So notice from the turret, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm getting shot at 4 spaces. They're only supposed to have 3 night vision, so I'm not sure if this is a lighting issue or the turret PR didn't quite get the number right or what, but I'm getting hit at 4 spaces instead of the stated 3 that I would expect from the description. So that's issue number 1. Now, I'm going to go ahead and back away from it again. Let's switch the light back on. But as you can see, no light of any kind, so don't expect light radiuses like you used to have. Alright, let's switch back to the daytime. Alright, so next thing to talk about is the range. We're currently standing at 21 from the turret. These turrets now have a range of 14. They used to have 12, so they've been bumped up slightly from 12 to 14. So if we go ahead and advance, we're at 17, 16, 15. One more space, and we can get shot. So 14 range on the standard turrets. And if we go out to the mil-spec turret, they've had a very significant change. They've gone from a 16 range on up to a 30 range. So I am standing at 30 right now. Zoom out a little, and you can see we're getting shot at 30. We're not getting shot at 31. So big change for mil-spec turrets. They're all the way out to 30 range now. To the south, I have a laser turret. You may not have seen laser turrets. They weren't really seeded into the game world, but they're in now in certain locations, so don't be too surprised when you encounter one. They've also got a 30 range. So we're getting shot at 30, stand out at 31, and we're not getting shot. So 30 range on the mil-specs and on the laser turrets. And finally, the big one, the anti-material turret. That also got a fairly significant upgrade. It's used to fire at 30. It's now supposed to fire at 40, but I'm finding it's actually firing at 39 for whatever reason. So I'm standing at 40 right now. It's not firing, but when I move to 39, it starts shooting. So again, I'm not sure why, but it's one space shorter than what it should be for range. So there we go. The turret ranges are significant, but not really the thing that's causing me some heartburn. It's mostly has to do with the night vision ranges that the turrets have and their placement in labs. So here's what I mean. Again, the turret placement was supposed to have been fixed in a recent PR, but in my examples, I am not seeing that that's actually happening. So here's what I mean by a problem. If we go visit this lab up northwest. So normally, if you're familiar with labs, when you force your way into a lab without using a key card that disables the turrets on the top floor here, you will have a turret sitting in the hallway waiting for you. It's usually, what, 3-4 spaces in, somewhere in this area. And so if you just use a pickaxe or blast your way through the door, you've got to deal with a turret that's sitting right here. But if we go ahead and teleport inside, no turret. No turret actually spawned in this location. It wandered, and it is now sitting right there. So it moved north about 3 spaces. And that's largely what I'm seeing, is turrets just kind of shuffling around in about 3 to 4 spaces in a random direction from their normal placement. But there are also a number of them that end up in completely different rooms or hallways from where they're normally supposed to be. Typically, most turrets in labs, barring this entrance and the finale room, are in small square rooms. There's a table or counter, a computer at one end, and the computer or the turret is on the table somewhere. That has traditionally been their placement. For whatever reason, the last few months, they've been wandering their location, most times in the same room, but the turret could be literally right up against the door, so you pop the door open and you're instantly going to get shot in the face. Could be in the back corner, could be anywhere in the room, but it's also having them appear in totally separate rooms and hallways where they're not supposed to be. That combined with the night vision range that these turrets now have, being able to shoot out at 4, which is farther than most characters have night vision, unless you're specifically stacking your character up with high perception and night vision traits, means that you are very likely to just walk face first into a turret very, very commonly in labs right now. So even if you're familiar with the lab layout, chances are high that if you're doing a lab escape, you're going to get yourself shot without really being able to do anything about it. There's not too many ways you can defend against this kind of a situation with the turret placement and the night vision range changes. So just be very, very careful and aware if you're running a current build from 9503 forward that these things have changed and these issues are in place. So until, hopefully, some changes or fixes are made, or adjustments of some kind are made, labs are super, super dangerous. Primarily for early game characters or lab escapes, but even to mid-game characters that are entering a lab from above. Turret placement being somewhat randomized, as well as the night vision that they have, is making them really, really dangerous and difficult right now. So, hopefully some attention is paid to getting some things ironed out here, getting a couple of adjustments made, but wanted to make sure everybody was aware of the changes that were in place so that you didn't get too rude a surprise when you were doing your own lab escape. And keep an eye on the Discords and the Reddits and so on for updates, and I'll let people know if a major change comes through that changes things again. So, hope you found this information helpful as always. Let me know if you have any other topics you'd like me to cover. I'll look to do these kinds of PSA announcements whenever I see in the future issues or changes that I think are very, very dramatic or could have an adverse effect on player experience, and I'll put out a quick notice like this. So, hope you found the information helpful. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there.